I tend to arrive sort of an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes beforehand. There's a lot of different ways of getting to the golf course. A lot of the times we have a bus schedule, there's courtesy cars. And if I'm relying on a bus schedule, I'll make sure I'm kind of an hour and a half earlier. And if I do get to the course a bit early, I'll just go and have a coffee or something in the players' lounge. From there, it's into the change room, boots on, make sure the bag's all sorted. My caddy usually does all that anyway. And then we'll head out really. First port of call for me is putting green. Work technically with a little mirror. It's got two little pegs on the end. There's a little gate. What that does for me is it just makes sure that my basics are really good. So I know where the putter's aiming, I know that I'm then starting the ball on line, and I'll just go through that a little bit, just make sure that the ball position's in the right place, my eye line's in the right place, and that I'm actually rolling the ball correctly. And that's all I'll do for sort of 5-10 minutes there. From there I'll go onto the practice ground, and I like to build up my golf swing. So I'll start with chipping the ball forward, just literally sort of waist high little chips to make sure the strike's there. I like to use a stick up the back of the shaft sometimes. That makes sure that the body opens correctly relative to the loft, keeps the face nice and stable. And then I make longer and longer swings with the stick behind to a point where I'm making almost full swings. From there I go into short irons for 5-10 balls, something like that. Dial in the wedges sort of up and down, sort of from 60 to 100 yards, back down again. And then I don't really work too technically in my warm-up. It's a warm-up, that's all it is. So I'm not going to be, if I haven't got it, there's no point in me trying to figure out something there and then, because I've only got 30-40 minutes or whatever. Those are the sorts of things you can do on a golf course. You kind of go onto the golf course with what you've got that day. And again, I'll build up then through the longer irons into the woods, and I'll only finish off with maybe 3-4 drivers. Even when I'm swinging it poorly, it's a bit like, well, which way is it going type thing. And if it's fading a little bit today, I'll aim it down a left semi. If it's drawing a little bit, I'll aim it down a right semi. It's just those little things that I just need to know before going out, without going over the top and getting too into it and then not having any flow when I get onto the golf course. From there, I'll go back onto short game area, just have a little chip around, get the feel, make sure I've got the feel of the greens, that I know sort of how the ball's reacting. Again, early morning, can have a little bit of dew on the greens, a little bit of moisture. Balls tend to skid. You want to see how that's reacting, if it's dry or firm in the afternoon, is that behaving a little bit differently? And the same out of bunkers as well. Obviously early morning there might be a little bit of water in there, it might be wet sand. Afternoon might be really dry, really powdery. Again, it's just getting a feel for what you think the golf course is going to be like, rather than getting too into, well, this is me today and this is how I'm swinging it and I need to fix X, Y and Z. It's almost like, well, I need to go and perform, and what's the best way I can do that? So from there then I go back to the putting green and just roll a couple of putts around, get a feel for the green's pace. Again, because it could have changed. You don't know if they've double cut, triple cut, not cut at all because it's windy. So you've just got to have a little bit of time getting the feel of that. And then also working at a few breaking putts as well, both left to right and right to left, because obviously the green speed dictates how much a ball breaks. So they're the little things that you'll do. And then I'll head to the tee 10 minutes early. First thing a lot of people are taught is, an aim, a grip, a stance, ball position, a posture. They're the things that I work on daily to make sure the ball's always in the correct place. If the ball's not in the correct place with putting especially, then if you're catching it early on the arc or late on the arc, you're going to have a different result in your start line. It's massively important. So unless you do those things on a daily basis, you're only then guessing when you get out on the golf course, really. If you're on the chipping green, say you are literally hitting the chip and going, oh, that one's just run out a bit more, or that one's checked up a little bit more, it looks like it's spinning a bit more today, or it's skidding or whatever, you try and land it in the same sort of spot as what you would and perceive. It's just then if the ball does something different than what you actually perceived in the first place, then from there you can make adjustments and you can start to get a real feel for what you're about to go and do. It is a feel thing. So like I say, I get there sort of an hour 15 before. I'm only warming up for about an hour, but it's actually 50 minutes because I go to the tee 10 minutes early. So I'll only spend 25 minutes hitting balls. So it's one of them really where, it's how much is achievable within that time. I think Rory's only 40-minute guy, and other guys are an hour and a half, and this is the great thing with the sport, everybody's different, everyone's got to do it their way. If I stand there for an hour and a half, I'm bored by the time I get to the first tee, and my mind starts to switch off. I've found over the years that I'm actually better when I'm a little bit apprehensive, I'm a little bit unsure sometimes. I know that sounds daft after saying, well, I need to chip it here to do this and everything else, but it just makes me focus and it makes me really dial into what I'm doing. If I get there and I feel great, I can almost become a little bit blasé, like, oh, this is easy today. So it's just different schools of thought for different people. Unless you're in the middle of a massive swing change and you're maybe playing a week that you're thinking is rather sacrificial, you might be just using that tournament that week to dial in a new swing thought or new feel or whatever. But for me, if I'm going to perform, I am merely warming up. I don't want any sort of swing thought or anything when it comes to sort of performing on the golf course. I don't want to have to double take or double guess myself on the golf course when it comes to technique. I just want to be able to say, well, the ball's going there today, and that's what I'm going to deal with.